Welcome, friends,
to the How To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is your first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
we're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Let us begin.
Skidoo!
Well,
hello,
co-uncles.
Well, indeed.
Uncle Volk. Welcome.
Kunkel.
A kunkel.
Die Unkeln.
The Unkelviken. I don't know what we're doing here, but there's three of us. It's a show.
Yeah.
Another show.
And we're avuncular.
We are avuncular. I believe this is episode 70.
Is it?
Ooh.
Yeah, we've arrived at a completely arbitrary number, and I'm feeling great.
You guys didn't tell me last episode's number, so I wouldn't make a joke, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you know.
Because we're more mature than that.
Yes, if there's one thing we can say about this show, mature.
Yeah, and this week's show will definitely prove our maturity.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk about a menace from beyond the stars.
I'm going to take the message of this podcast to heart.
Oh, and I'm going to pray about both of you.
Yeah, we need it. So come on in. The water's fine. Let's do a show.
Yeehaw! Uncle Doug.
Uncle Dan.
Here's the thing. Uncle Mark's been cagey over there. It's a week of caginess.
He's got something to tell us, but he won't tell us.
You won't tell us. So maybe if we get all the nieces and nephews listening, he'll talk about it.
I have secrets.
What are you talking about?
Are they for sale?
Uncle Mark?
Everything's for sale, baby. Well, today, this is a thing I've wanted to talk about for a while. And before we jump into it, let me start with a disclaimer.
Okay.
Which is not a trigger warning. That this is all publicly available information. Okay. This can be found with one deep Google search. So,
okay,
this has all been out there for many years. I've just kind of pulled it all into one place to have a fun chat about it. Right.
All right.
I'm suddenly nervous, Uncle Doug. I'm not. Okay. Go ahead.
So this is a pretty hard one to slot into one of our categories. It's for sure a sacred cow, and I don't know if it fits into the Garden of the Gods or the Graveyard of the Gods, because beyond all possible logic, living people somehow believe this thing is real.
Oh.
Just not very many. And it's not really a god, but some kind of bad guy, but not a devil. Oh, and before I'm done, we'll talk about Stan Lee's probable unintentional role in this matter. Yeah, the recently deceased Stan Lee. So. One more disclaimer before we dive in. If you're a Scientologist and for some reason you listen to our show and you wish to remain a Scientologist but have not yet reached OT3, turn the show off now.
No,
fair warning.
Or you should probably keep listening.
Just start making your checks payable to the How To Heretic.
Yeah, exactly. Just stick with us until the Patreon section.
Okay. So now that our pre-OT3 Scientologist listeners have tuned out, today, uncles, I want to talk about a fun guy, who ruled this sector of the Galactic Confederacy just a short 75 million years ago.
Wow.
And who is still alive and well in an electronic prison in either the French Pyrenees or something called a Martian report station.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. He's not spinning through space in a mirror.
It's a little like he's like the General Zod and the super cool space lesbian from Superman 2. He's just as likely to be real. People of Tigiak, please put your ghost hands together for Xenu.
Oh, my God. Oh, I hate you guys so much. You guys had that worked out beforehand.
Doug had that all. She was so excited for that.
I'm so glad I downloaded that app.
I'm so mad right now. Cody, edit that out.
So, who? Most sane, normal people are asking? Well, 99.999% of you good people of Earth, I mean Tigiak, who've never heard of the depositor of all life on Earth, the reason you and me and everyone you've ever known is here on this prison planet is because this frustrated space bureaucrat from the late Cretaceous period conceived a triple-stacked Bond villain murder method for billions of our forefathers. So here we are.
Oh my God!
All it makes is sense.
Scientology is a new religion, but its truth claims reach further back in time than even the Jains, who, as Uncle Dan explained to us, claim their philosophy was founded more than 1 million years ago.
They do indeed.
And at least as far in space as the Mormons.
Kolob?
Kolob! Who believe God's summer home is on the very distant planet /star Kolob.
Wow.
But it can be reached by the righteous in the science-speak measure of time-space distance called the twinkling of an eye.
Yeah, you can hide there.
You can hide there.
Just high away.
I believe, is it Hye or Hie?
H-I-E.
Is it?
Yeah.
I did the segment on it. I can't remember.
Well,
well.
You haven't twinkled there for a while.
You'll know one day soon, Doug. So today, our story starts a short 4 quadrillion years ago.
Wow.
Yes, uncles, that's quadrillion with a Q. That's a 4 followed by 15 zeros.
All right.
That's plenty.
I know the university eggheads think the entire universe is a mere 13.8 billion years old, but one L. Ron Hubbard knew that science underestimated the real age of the universe by at least 307,692 times.
Listen, if you've ever met an astrophysicist, they're always forgetting to carry that too.
Math is not their strong
They're
suit.
shit at math. So I say at least because that's not the beginning of Hubbard's universe. It's just how long ago the first trauma a sentient being experienced. So it's a trauma that each of us still carry to this day.
What?
Yes. So the universe is older still, since that sentient cousin of ours had to have come into being as a species on a fully formed planet somewhere. So tack on another few billion years, which is barely a rounding error in this timeline.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, it's time for one of our patented Guinness Book of World Records facts.
Most eaten Boston baked beans.
That's you.
That's me.
Yes. Would you quit bragging
Just
about that?
before we got into this room together.
I'm still farting.
Quit bragging about it before we go on the air. So, what science fiction writer holds the undisputed record for most published works of fiction ever? Take a crazy stab.
Joseph Smith.
Moses.
Moses! Actually, it's our friend L. Ron Hubbard.
LRH himself.
L. Ron Hubbard. He wrote science fiction in what's kind of the golden age of science fiction.
Yeah. The astounding science fiction age.
And science fiction writers.
Golden just because there was so much of it.
There was so much
Not
of it.
because it was good.
Some was good.
Some of it was good.
Heinlein and Asimov were all writing at the same time.
Yep.
And so he wrote so prolifically that rather than sheets of paper, he had a roll of paper that fed into his typewriter.
Is that true?
It's literally
Got it
true.
off a roll? That's brilliant.
Just to save him the time of replacing the
Right,
paper. Just,
right.
Wow.
So, I don't know why I brought that up.
It doesn't seem to relate to the story at hand.
It's very strange that you would bring that up because just what you're saying is that the man to whom the universe's secrets were revealed in their truth
Yes.
also happened on the side to have been a guy who professionally just made up stories and facts about
Pure
space
coincidence.
and the universe.
Yeah,
Pure
it's
coincidence.
just was stupid.
I don't see the relevance.
Stupid of me to brought it up. Not germane to our discussion.
Waste of time tangent right there.
All right, sorry, Guinness Book of World Records. We'll insert your facts at other points. Back to that profoundly formative event 4,000 trillion years ago. You see, guys, a standard working class Thetan, which is a Greekish word, not a real Greek word, a Greekish word, L. Ron Hubbard invented that basically means a spirit or being, was minding his own business on a planet Hubbard didn't bother to name somewhere, when suddenly he heard some snapping noises. Then he was bathed in light.
Was it like bubble wrap popping?
It was probably the trauma of bubble wrap.
Was it the Sharks and the Jets behind him?
You guys aren't taking this trauma seriously. Then he was bathed in light.
Oh no!
Then he saw, for real, a chariot followed by a cherub playing a trumpet.
Wait.
Then there were more snaps, and then he was in darkness.
Wait.
That is the entirety of his trauma.
Wait. So the trauma. This was the original trauma.
Yes.
Was a guy heard snaps and saw
a chariot and a trumpet, and a baby.
And a baby. So some octopus-like creature on some unknown planet
Right.
saw a cherub, a trumpet, and a chariot.
Which sounds to me like it comes out of like biblical kind of iconography.
Yeah, I mean,
and this was the first trauma that a creature... So what you're saying is there was no predation that predated this prevision. You're welcome.
I guess I'm saying that. There was no war, there was no murder.
Doug might be fired from the show.
Again.
We'll check in later.
Well, first we have to hire him.
Okay. It's true. We don't
So-
pay Doug. That's good.
So, yeah, this strange migraine-like inconvenience 400 million billion years ago is the original trauma that makes us in need of expensive fixing today.
Wow.
But there is another far more recent event of greater cost, I mean significance, to our happiness. Strap in, fellas, as we fast forward 3 quadrillion, 999 trillion, 999 billion, 925,000 years to just 75 million years ago.
Sure.
Seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
Okay, so the chariot, cherub, and trumpet are just...
And snaps.
We're just going to leave that behind now.
Well, that's called, I think that's called Incident 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm serious.
All right.
And
course it is.
now we're going to discuss Incident 2, which is the more
But wait, between
nothing
those two
happened?
things, there were no traumas.
no traumas. No traumas worth mentioning. In quadrillions of years.
Why?
Incident 1 is one dude takes mushrooms one time and doesn't like the trip, and then nothing happens for about 3 quadrillion
In
years.
3 quadrillion years, nobody hit their shin on a coffee table.
and
Okay.
then
At the risk of severe litigation, that's just bad writing. I'm sorry.
we could be sued for that.
Yeah, Andrew Torres it cleared us for launch on this particular piece. So anyway, so as we all know, 75 million years ago, this sector of the Galactic Confederation had gotten a tad overpopulated. Overseeing his sector of 26 stars and 76 planets, and 11 herbs and spices, Regional Governor Xenu was just at his wit's end.
Oh.
Like the little old lady that lived in the shoe, or old Mother L. Ron Hubbard. I'm a little rusty on nursery rhymes about unchecked overpopulation. So anyway.
Boy, I haven't been this riveted by bureaucracy since the prequels.
Yeah, exactly. Lucas knew what the people wanted was parliamentary procedure.
Point of order!
No confidence. So anyway, our sector was just nuts. Xenu, naturally, feared the social and political stresses of all this was going to get him deposed by a group called the Loyal Officers, who wore silver suits and silver space boots, as we all know.
Of course they did.
Yeah. So
Because it's not real science fiction until they dress like Barbarella.
until everybody looks like a Gil Gerard in a 1984 episode of what was that? Buck Rogers.
Boy, man.
Yeah.
And that silver suit isn't very breathable.
No, it was not very forgiving of his middle-aged bod, his dad bod. So anyway, back from Gil Gerard. So Xenu hatched a cunning plan. It was so simple, Uncle Dan, so elegant, it couldn't possibly have failed. Xenu proposed a census in which to be taxed you must travel to be counted.
No. Jesus Christ.
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
You have got it.
So Pontius Space Pilot washed his space hands.
Ba-doom.
So yeah, seriously, it was a taxation issue, so you had to get on these ships,
Right.
right? And we'll sort it all out later. Just get on the ship, right? So you guys know what a DC
That never even happened in like this world. Like
In the Earth Bible.
The one in the Bible isn't even true because that's not how a census works or taxation or anything like that.
That's right.
You add space to it, it doesn't make it any better.
No,
It's no more logical now that we've added space.
it just because you give Joseph a helmet with antennas, it doesn't give it any more legitimacy. So anyway, you guys know what a DC-8 is?
Yeah, the plane?
Yeah. So it's an early commercial passenger jet that was commonly in service in 1966. Remember that number, 1966 for later that year, when L. Ron Hubbard was on his boat writing this revelation about Space Governor Xenu, which Hubbard would call the Wall of Fire.
Oh.
That'll come into play later anyway. So it turns out 75 million years ago, a spaceship that would look very much like a commercial jet in the 1960s
Coincidentally.
is what dastardly Xenu would use to transport the 167 billion now frozen tax travelers from various suns and planets to the sector of the sector to Tigiak, known these days as our home address, Earth.
All right.
Okay.
So, the 167 billion thetans were frozen in something like coffins full of alcohol and glycol. Hubbard was that specific.
Okay,
Sure.
two things that have a very low freezing temperature. But
Yeah,
fine.
Well, no, that's why you got to get them real cold.
Yeah, okay.
And by the way, that didn't kill these people.
Oh.
So I looked up the dimensions of a DC-8 online.
Okay.
And if you really cram them in, you could fit maybe 100 frozen thetan coffins in one ship.
You're assuming that they're our size. They could have been littler.
I think
You could get 110 in.
I think there are. I think 110, but and you have to leave some room for sack lunches for the crew.
Yeah, but you don't need bathrooms because so you get a couple more.
Well, the pilots.
Oh,
Yeah. So
diapers.
that would require, like the crazy woman who wore the astronaut diaper.
Yeah,
kill
exactly.
her boyfriend across anyway. We'll do earn another segment. So that would require 167 million spaceships. For perspective, the U.S. made just 300,000 aircraft during all of World War II. And
It could have been one really, really big DC-8. I'm just saying.
he said they looked just like them. So scale, I would imagine the scale was the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
If only we could ask LRH what the scale of the plane was.
That would be a DC-8 so big that you would enter the back at your planet and out the front here on Earth.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, fine.
Can Xenu make a DC-8 so big that he can't fly it? Is the age-old question.
Yeah.
So anyway, it would require those 167 million spaceships flying from other star systems, and the closest of which is 4.3 light years away, would take 4.3 light years to fly here from the close one if, and it's a big if, Xenu's petite space jets could go light speed, which, with the technology of the Cretaceous period, I'm guessing probably not. So,
I think they just add a couple of jets onto those DC-8s and they'll get there.
well, when you're a jet, you're a jet at light speed.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just bear with me. It gets better. So let's leave aside the devil and his vexing details. Like all legendary pioneer stories, how it is we crossed such gulfs of space and time tends to be viewed through rose-colored space helmets. So once the DC-8s arrived here, Xenu had the frozen beings placed on the sides of what Hubbard described as 10 or more volcanoes.
Okay.
It seems a guy that's comfortable with numbers as large as quadrillions could easily be specific with numbers between 10 and 20.
Yeah.
Damn you, detail devil.
But he's so detailed about certain things and not about others. But,
It's bizarre.
I mean, it almost sounds made up, but
Yeah, but he did choose the DC-8 over the DC-10, which to me makes it true.
An L-1011 is a wider body, more thetans, fewer planes, fuel efficiency,
Yeah, but that DC-8's got the comfort.
with the economy of the
well, and bearing, of course, in mind that jets don't work in space, but
Shush.
Hush your mouth.
Shush.
So, imagine over 23 times the current population of this crowded world laying asleep on the side of a few volcanoes. Sure, why
Yeah.
not?
all right.
Not content just to abandon these frozen chosen on the volcanoes of this garbage planet, Xenu then dropped 1960s Earth-style hydrogen bombs into the volcanoes to double dog murder the sleeping thetans. Why not just push them out of the DC-8s into space? Why not just fucking freeze them to death? Why not put them in the volcanoes?
No, this is a bureaucrat, and we know that he wants to destroy the evidence because if they're just floating around in space, somebody's going to find them and start asking some stupid questions.
Okay.
You got to burn them. You got to blow them up.
So many fucking moving parts to this interstellar mass murder, Xenu.
I feel like an all-powerful space being dealing with an overpopulation problem. I kind of know where the Stan Lee tie-in's going to come in here.
Well, don't say anything.
I won't.
Okay, so no, and it's not what you think.
Oh, really?
No, it's not what you
So
think.
we're not doing Avengers.
It's not Thanos.
Oh.
The Thanos, the original Thetan. But maybe, fuck, who knows? So, fellas, here's another crazy aside. The Xenu thing is considered the deepest secret of Scientology, well, until we know what the next one is. Well, it used to be before South Park did a number on it in 2005, which is a lot of fun if you want to Google that. But the foundational book of Scientology is called Dianetics, and it is not a deep secret.
Right.
So if you're not familiar with this hyper-ubiquitous book, it's kind of Scientology's Bible. Leaving the baffling mess of the interior pages aside, the cover art is a blazing hot nuclear mushroom cloud bursting out of a volcano. That, dear uncles, was Hubbard's secret selling strategy. He was sure that when bookstore owners saw it, it would trigger their 75-million-year-old traumatic memory, and they couldn't help but buy the books in bulk. That's a for real.
Boy, talk about being high on your own supply.
Totally.
Right?
So, back to Xenu's Rube Goldberg genocide plot. So the hydrogen bombs blew up the volcanoes, which blew up the people who were frozen, thinking they were in line for the IRS, just as planned. But I guess because in Scientology's cosmology, we're all immortal spirits transiting between bodies forever, all the blowed up people were now floating around as ghosts.
Oh, no.
Recall that 75 million years ago was the Cretaceous period here on Earth, so it was the time of the megamorphic dinosaurs. Somehow, the multiple volcano-turbocharged hydrogen bomb explosions and the nearly 2 billion flash-thawed ghosts floating overhead didn't bother the T-Rexes and the Diplodocus of the time.
Sure.
Nor is there any massive radioactive residue in those sedimentary layers, which would still be detectable, because I think hydrogen bombs produce strontium-90. To quote Spinal Tap, some crimes are better left unsolved. So, not content with this absurdly complicated long-distance kidnapping and hyper-murder, Xenu and his crew used I'm air quoting here because I don't know what these are, electronic ribbons to corral the Thetans into vacuum zones where they were collected, and I shit you not, seated in theaters. Seated in theaters.
Uncle Mark, you know you've read this before, right?
Each one needing to hold almost 90 billion people at a time. That's
a big house.
More than 12 times the Earth's current population in each theater.
Wow.
One in Hawaii and one in the Canary Islands.
What?
I'm sorry.
You got to build those high. You got to go up.
With super colossal 3D screens. Well, no shit. 90 billion people need to see the screen. Super colossal 3D screens.
And I end up in the front row.
Where they watched a 36-day movie that was a pre-programming of all the world's religions and cultures, including false images of the crucifixion of Jesus, 75 million years before the alleged events would take place. This, my friends, is called the R6 implant, and we all apparently still suffer from it to this day. And
Okay, so this was a big propaganda move?
this was filling our heads with false shit.
What did we do to Xenu? What the fuck is he fucking with us
I don't know.
for?
We just overpopulated his shitty sector.
We didn't.
And
They did. The Thetan, right?
and what's the end goal of implanting a bunch of shitty, weird mythologies into our collective subconscious?
Well, you can't get paid to cure a disease until you invent it.
I guess.
So, Earth Thetans, it turns out that a few lucky frozen beings some fucking how survived the H-bomb blast, physically alive. They're basically Scientology's Adam and Eve, lucky for us. Unlucky for us, the billions of dead 3D moviegoers attach themselves to the bodies of the survivors, which have been passed down like DNA for millions of generations to us.
Okay.
But the great news is that we can at least be free from them for money.
So we did we evolve? Or were we dropped here like in Prometheus? Or is it some combination of the two?
I think I don't know that he ever said anything specifically about evolution, but I think it's more Prometheus.
So this was something that I never understood, because I kind of got a lot of this in my research and watching documentaries or whatever.
Watching the 36-day 3D movie.
I did watch that, but
Yeah.
I fell asleep around day 23.
It's called Gandhi.
Right. Hey-o. What I didn't get was that Because I got the Thetans attached to us, that the space ghosts are like attached to us somehow.
Yeah.
Like, got their hooks in us.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that we were also descended from the same space ghosts.
I believe, that's correct. We are descended,
but not the ghost ones, the ones who survived.
Some survived. Yeah, and I don't know what number. I don't think it ever said what number survived.
So our progenitor is 75 million years old, or some version of it got into the bloodstream of the species.
The 4 quadrillion-year-old one.
My head's hurting.
We're still carrying that.
Oh, of course.
That snappy chariot trauma.
Yeah, I'll never hear snaps and not think of a cherub chariot again.
I think seeing a baby play a trumpet would traumatize me.
Can I just take a little quick tangent and point out that I looked up Dianetics because I wanted to see that cover again because I've seen it, but I wanted to look at it. And then it says people also searched for polygraph, perpetual motion, thermonuclear weapons. I just thought that was funny.
Weird. That is an interesting and suddenly worrying diversion.
And perpetual polygraph.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as I said before, such a visionary was L. Ron Hubbard that he discovered the disease and then he began selling the cure. So Hubbard did indeed discover what we now know is called the Wall of Fire, what Scientologists pay north of $100,000 to call OT3, which means Operating Thetan 3, when he was avoiding the long arm of the IRS sailing near the Canary Islands. This journey was treacherous, but worth it in order to heal mankind. He claimed to be the only being capable of witnessing these truths and surviving in 75 million years, though it apparently cost him a broken back, a broken knee, and a broken arm.
Somebody fell drunk onto the deck of his ship.
Exactly right. He also warned anyone who tried to undo the R6 implant would surely die
Oh.
of pneumonia. Pneumonia. Slow, very treatable, but also sometimes fatal. Such a weird villain, our friend Xenu. So
God.
I watched Leah Remini, the mother of dragons as far as Scientology is concerned, on a video explaining the momentous day she received the knowledge gained by passing through the Wall of Fire, level OT3.
Wow.
She'd already paid well north of $100,000 to reach that level.
Sure.
She then wrote a check for, I think it was $5,000 just for that information to receive the OT3 brief, which is actually locked in a briefcase with a code.
Yeah.
So you go into a secure building, you go into a secure part of the building to like a bulletproof glass thingamajig where there's a person behind, and you prove your identity and all this shit.
And they whisper the code.
And they push, they tell you the code, and it's like getting your temple name.
They say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is any number above 10?
It is a 4 quadrillion digit lock. It takes days. So they push the briefcase through. You go into another room with a high level minder. You enter the code on the tumbler and open the briefcase. Right. So it's like Cold War absurdity. So when you open the briefcase, and you can look this up online if you want to. Somebody's got a picture of this online. You pull out basically a handwritten by Hubbard piece of paper, right? And his handwriting is extremely eccentric and weird, but it's this handwritten text about Xenu and all of that gobbledygook. His handwriting is so bad that the N in Xenu could also be an M.
Zimu.
So there's been some dispute on whether it's Xenu or Zimu. And it tells you all the stuff about the Galactic Federation and the bunch of crazy bananas I described above. Now, for the most part, diligent Scientologists working their way up the bridge, which is kind of the ladder of money you have to climb to get healthier and healthier, have never heard anything about this. So Leah described her reaction, like that of a lot of Scientologists, as total shock.
Right.
It was like she didn't know if it was a joke or some kind of weird test. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no doubt.
So they'd never heard of this before. But bizarrely, for some reason, a lot of people get past the shock and surprise and just keep going. I guess, credulity is stronger than Valerian steel or the sunk cost fallacy.
I think that level's called the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah. So a little coda on this madness. Remember when I mentioned in the opening the late, great Stan Lee of Marvel fame?
Yes.
Without meaning to, he may have played more than a tiny part in this space opera, which is also something Hubbard called it, space opera.
Huh.
In 1960, he created a comic book character who was sort of a demonic giant. Think like looked like a Viking version of a Yeti, right?
Sure.
That came to Earth, hypnotized the entire population, filled their heads with all kinds of false memories, etc., etc. He was ultimately defeated and locked in an electronic prison that was put in permanent orbit around the sun, like the aforementioned General Zod in Superman 2. Sounds a tiny bit like Hubbard's story, doesn't it?
Just a bit.
I mean, it's just coincidence. I won't even bring it up. Oh, and the giant's name was Xemnu. So why even bring it up? Just trifling coincidence, I'm sure. So it was Xemnu.
Wow.
Right? And so Hubbard wrote this thing in 1966. Stan Lee's character hit the shelves in 1960. So to conclude this pure uncut gobbledygook, that's, still has that new bullshit smell, I can't conceive of how you'd think of it any other way. But seriously, uncles, is it weirder than Uncle Doug's examination of the Book of Revelation, with more beasts, with more heads, and many times more eyes, and loads of strangely timed snacks than anyone can count? Is it weirder than a virgin birth of a man-god who is both unkillable, but pretends to be killed, and later eaten by those who love him every Sunday, but still lives forever,
right?
Who is also his dad and a ghost with no name,
right?
Is it weirder than Mormons getting to be gods of entire universes if they pay their tithing and don't jerk off? Maybe it is a bit, because it kind of feels like a kid writing a book report for a book he hasn't read that's due in an hour. But the only difference I can see between the story of Xenu and the story of Jonah is we can see Xenu springing from out of the head of one man with a very high degree of confidence, right? Mm-hmm. We know where this came from, when it came from, what circumstances it came from. So will thousands of years of time give Hubbard's hasty Xenu space opera the patina of ancient wisdom all those other ridiculous tales enjoy? Happily, we'll all be dead.
Yes, indeed.
From atom bombs and volcanoes.
So that's Xenu, guys. All that makes sense.
Yeah, super easy.
Yeah.
And just in case anybody's wondering, if you had a lock with a 4 quadrillion number passcode,
yes,
and you could do 2 of those numbers a second, it would take 634,195 plus centuries.
Oh my God.
to enter that code.
No wonder so few people have seen it.
Right. Yes. It's hard to get to.
Your uncles have saved you guys a lot of time.
and money if you're a Scientologist.
Money, so
we'll charge you 50% on the dollar.
All right. So with that, we have given the Space Force their first task. Let us move on.
Moving on.
Well, Uncle Dan.
What? Hey, yes?
You know that here in Utah, we are constantly reminded that things are not secret, they are sacred.
That is true.
Right.
But keep them secret because they're secret.
But don't talk about them.
Yes.
Because free agency is the most precious gift you have. You must never use it.
and you know who in this room was most indoctrinated into that idea?
The secret Uncle Doug or the sacred Uncle Doug?
One and the same.
I don't know because I can't talk about it.
Right.
Well, uncles, we often on this show we slay other people's sacred cows. So I thought, in an act of solidarity, I would come here today and slay one of my own.
Oh! You brought a cow into the studio
cow to slaughter.
Really?
As frequent listeners of this podcast will surely know, I have an unhealthy affinity for the King James Version of the Bible over all the others.
Oh, good one.
I thought that today we could explore why that is and talk about the King James Version itself.
Okay.
So let's start with a little bit about why I prefer this version. And our ex-Mormon listeners will know, and some frequent listeners will know, it turns out that the King James Version is the official version of the Mormon Church.
Yes.
In which we three all grew up.
The official English version.
That's correct.
And so far, prior to this segment, it has been the official Bible of the How to Heretic.
That's right. At least I think so.
Yes.
I've been bucking that trend.
I know you have.
When I think that Wonder Bible TM should be the official Bible
.ru
of the How to Heretic.
The fact that this is the Mormon Church's official Bible mostly comes from the fact that it was the version that teenage Joseph Smith had in his upstate New York house. Joseph recounts while reading this version of the Bible, he read the Epistle of James, chapter 1, verse 5, which says, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him." So this prompted Joseph to go find a grove to ask God which of the many churches was true, which God decided to answer in person. Of course, this is only one of the many versions of this account, but we'll leave that for another day.
If you're Mormon, you have heard that story
over
so many times.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that version, that
scripture
is
it's
so
almost triggering, isn't it?
It's like it's like DNA level.
Yeah,
I know that
sure.
scripture. I don't know what the word upbraideth means, but I know that word.
But if you say that, it's like the Manchurian Candidate thing. It's a post-hypnotic suggestion. If you say it to an ex-Mormon anywhere in the world, they suddenly become very reverent.
They fold their arms.
Yeah.
So in any case, the King James Version is basically fundamental to the Mormon religion. Now, Joseph would go on to incorporate, plagiarize huge sections of the King James Version into the Book of Mormon. This would produce what is one of my...
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly right. This would produce one of my favorite things about the King James Version. It's that Joseph copied several mistakes and misrepresentations or mistranslations that existed in the copy of the King James Version into the Book of Mormon. Oopsie. So back in episode 34, we covered the story of Nephi and the brass plates. In summary, a Jewish family that would become the ancestors of all Native Americans, all the way back in 600 BCE, were commanded to steal a set of brass plates upon which were written the books of the Old Testament.
Right.
According to Joseph, anywhere in the Book of Mormon that they're quoting the Old Testament Bible, it's from those ancient records they stole in 600 BCE. Right?
Okay.
Okay, there are too many to chronicle here, but for a complete list of these mistranslations, I would direct listeners to the CES letter by Jeremy Runnels, which is something we definitely should talk about sometime on this show.
Yeah.
But basically, in the 19th century, a 4th century manuscript which was discovered called the Sinaitic Syriac, which predated the versions of those same texts used by the translators of the King James Version.
And this was the first Bible to talk about wheat allergies. Right? I'm following. I'm totally following, yeah.
The translation of this earlier document shows several errors and mistranslations in the King James Version, which found their way right into the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. That'll happen.
Yeah. Some of these changes are minor and cosmetic, and some change the meaning or reverse the meaning entirely of some verses.
Wow.
He to she, up to down, that kind of thing.
Oh.
So, does it seem unlikely that the plates of brass would have would have contained the same translation errors as the 1769 version of the 1611 translation of the Bible, written in ornate 17th century English? Yeah, it does.
It seems it makes sense.
You know, when you just see miracles everywhere.
That's right.
in life, don't you? It's just beautiful.
All this is to say that the King James Version essentially disproves the Book of Mormon. So
that's
there you go.
Interesting. Yeah.
KJV.
As an added bonus, if you happen to be a MAGA hat wearing shit stain trying to intimidate a Native American Vietnam vet, blissfully unaware that, with any luck, you have destroyed your future and are smiling no more as you stare down a long and miserable life of humiliation and penury, according to Mormons, you can check the box for anti-Semitism on your worst living person checklist as well. But I digress. So anyway, back to the story.
Something tells me that box is checked.
Yeah, no doubt.
They don't need any extra help.
By the time this comes out, if you haven't seen this in the news,
you've seen it.
You've seen it.
Before we go on a bit more about why I'm so hung up on this version, let's talk about the King James Version and how it came to pass.
That's all you did there.
The King James Version, or as it's very commonly known, the Authorized Version, was commissioned by King James VI in 1604.
Indeed.
In the late 16th century, there were several English versions of the Bible floating around Protestant circles, most prominently the Bishop's Bible, the Tyndale Bible, the Coverdale Bible, the Matthew Bible, the Great Bible, the Geneva Bible, the Taverner's Bible, and the Douay-Rheims Bible, among others.
Whoa.
Some of these were versions of each other. Some were translated directly from the Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek manuscripts, themselves translations and copies of earlier versions and translations, each pushing their own agenda or a particular doctrine. Most of the differences in these versions were so minor and esoteric that you would require a PhD to decipher them, but at the time, people killed over them.
Sure.
The Puritans in England, which had a great deal of power in the Church of England but were generally hated, please listen back to episode 61 to hear how much fun they were not satisfied with any of the current translations. King James also felt that current versions put too much emphasis on the individual membership aspect of Christianity and not on the leadership. So using words like congregation rather than ordained clergy bothered King James himself, who, as a king, wanted more emphasis on the leadership side of things. So in 1604, he convened the Hampton Court Conference, which sounds like a gathering of medical device salespeople in Des Moines, but was actually where 47 scholars were to produce the new version of the Bible that not only satisfied King James, the Puritans, various other sects of the Church of England, but was expressly to be heavy on style.
Yes.
So think of it as the Blade Runner 2049 of Bibles. So the council...
Hampton Court is lovely, by the way, if you've ever been there.
I don't know if I've been... I mean, I've been to England and London, but
I don't know
anyway.
if I've been to Hampton Court yet.
I think we all have to go now.
I've stayed at a Hampton Court.
That is a different thing.
It's like a La Quinta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The council broke into 6 groups, each given a section of the Bible to translate from the assembled sources and other versions of the Bible. Then they would each submit their section to each other for review. This led to many shortcuts in the translation. Like, for example, they took 14 different Hebrew words and condensed them all to the one word in English, prince.
Yeah, you know what? If you want accuracy, the best way to get there
Yeah, exactly.
is committee.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like writing an exquisite corpse,
Exactly.
right? It's just madness.
Somehow what came out of this insane process was not the Ford Edsel, but the most influential and best-selling book in the English language. So, the printing of the book became a huge battle between the major printing houses in England, which persists to this day.
Really?
Yeah, there's still bad blood between English printing houses over the Bible. And this was all done before the English spelling was standardized.
Right.
So different printers made changes in order to have even margins. Mostly what they would do is change U's to V's or use long F's instead of final S's in places, and then several other little tweaks. So
Yeah.
then there were
That's what you did.
That's what you did.
Again, accuracy.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Updated versions of this book were then produced in 1760, 62, 63, and 1769. Mostly these versions did things like get rid of all the extra letters in the arcane English of 1611. Think ye olde shoppy versus ye old shop.
Yeah.
However, it was the last version that found its way from Oxford to upstate New York, where the son of a dirt farmer would eventually copy huge sections into the world's first and yet still worst choose-your-own-adventure novel, which explains why Mitt Romney is the junior senator from Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Makes perfect sense.
That is a straight line, motherfuckers.
At some point, I don't know if you're going to get into it. Are you going to get... You probably wouldn't have run it. It's so archaic. But there's this Shakespeare connection. Are you going to get to that at all?
Go ahead.
Because it's one of those... now is probably the wrong time, but I did want to mention that, like, there's this whole... Shakespeare was in King James' employ at that time, and there's all this theory that maybe he worked on this Bible, and and
he punched it up.
Well, maybe, but there's one particularly fun theory about Psalm 46, because in 1611, Shakespeare was 46 years old, maybe, and so Shakespeare was 46 years old, and so he's working on Psalm 46, and if you count in, I think, 46 letters from the beginning of the chapter, and then 46 letters words from the end of the chapter, you get the word shake and the word spear.
No shit.
Really?
Yeah, little conspiracy fun for you.
Oh, that's fun.
A little Dan Brown level.
Yeah.
Fun.
Now, one might argue that these minor tweaks wouldn't have any effect on the main thrust of the story, such as the crystal clear narrative of the story of Samson, as we covered in episode 21.
Right.
But you might want to ask the children of Ireland in the 1600s if there were any real-world consequences from the mistranslation of young maiden to young virgin.
Right.
Oh, shit.
But for me, as a young man reading the Bible and the Book of Mormon, one written in Shakespearean English and one desperately trying to sound like it was, this was the Bible, right? This was how it sounded to me at the time.
Yeah.
I remember it sounded, I don't know if it gave it a gravity and a solemnity that made it sound more credible. Even now, when I read other versions of the Bible, it just doesn't feel right. So, for example, listen to John 3:16 in the King James Version versus the Message. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Versus, this is how much God loved the world. He gave his Son, his one and only Son. And this is why, so that no one need be destroyed. By believing in him, anyone can have a whole and lasting life.
That second one sounds like Christopher Walken summarizing the first one.
Exactly.
Well, he gave his son.
Hey!
Yeah. Wow.
Can I just say, though, that the Message is the most kooky
I
bananas
completely agree.
version.
It's the hippie Bible.
And
isn't it?
I knew you were going to come at me with this.
It's delightful.
Yeah.
But it's not a translation.
No, so how about Psalm 23:4 in the King James Version versus the Living Bible?
Okay.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And then versus the Living Bible, even when walking through the dark valley of death, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me, guiding all the way. It's not terrible, but it sounds wrong.
Yeah, you're right. It's the ye olde.
Yeah, it just
sounds like the Bible.
Right.
That's how God talked.
Now, on top of all of that, there is an inherent absurdity to the King James Version that makes reading it now as an atheist even more hilarious.
Yeah.
Listen back to episode 9 when we discussed Leviticus, or episode 58 and 60 when we discussed the book of Revelation. Reading other versions of the Bible would be like if Monty Python and the Holy Grail were written and produced and starring Kevin James. It just isn't as good.
Right.
The Kevin James Bible, by the way, is a fantastic translation.
However, although I am and always have been partial to the King James Version, I am not unaware of how fucking hard it is to read sometimes. Listeners will know how often I stumble and struggle with it. I always have. Uncle Mark and Dan have to watch me do it. So in the spirit of this podcast, which is dedicated to exploring life on the outside of religion, I am prepared to make some news today.
Oh, no.
I have decided to experiment with other Bibles.
Oh, you dirty, dirty bird.
That's right. You're hearing it here first. We haven't sent out the press release yet.
Well, since you're so biblically versed, what is it in the Old Testament where it says, "Let us go away together and worship other gods"?
Exactly.
That you have broken that solemn.
So, I took to heart what it says in 1 Corinthians 13. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. Or as it says in the same scripture in The Voice, when I was a child, I spoke, thought, reasoned like a child, as we all do, but when I became a man, I left my childish ways behind. For now we can only see a dim and blurry picture of things, as when we stare into polished metal. I realize that everything I know is only part of a big picture. But one day, when Jesus comes, we will see clearly face to face.
Okay, so that gets to a really great point.
Yeah.
Which is to your workaday person out in the world.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, like our parents, Doug.
Yeah.
What the gist of that scripture is the second thing you read.
Right.
Right? But reading it in the King James Version gives it this veneer it gives it a gravitas,
right?
And for people who don't read poetry or people who don't read, great works of literature, there's a sense of something profound about it,
yep,
and mysterious. But it's just ancient English,
exactly.
It's just weird old English, and it's not profound.
No. It was written by a group of men who were schooled in letters, who were, their whole job was the crafting of words.
Yeah.
So it was written well, but it's not written for accuracy. It's not written for they tried to make sure that it was a good translation, but they also were trying to appease 10 different factions.
Exactly.
And they were arguing with each other over what words should be used in this place because the Puritans want this word, but the other groups want this word, and the Catholics will never go for it if it doesn't have this word.
Right.
Right. And to please a fancy-ass king who's writing the checks.
But but these were political decisions.
Right.
These were not decisions based on what's the most accurate representation of this ancient language.
But one directive they also had was make it sound good.
Yeah.
Make it, make it sing.
You take my point that to the modern ear, it sounds poetic.
Well,
and it was probably written poetically.
Right.
But it sounds more poetic than it even is.
Hence why our Joseph Smith wrote his book in the 1830s to sound like it was written in the 1610s.
He might not have been aware there were other versions of the Bible. I mean, he probably was.
Exactly right.
But the King James was the Bible of the Puritans in northern New York at the time.
But it was also that kind of funny talk, old-timey funny talk was how a religious text sounded in his ear. So he wrote his book to sound like it, even though it makes zero sense to do that.
Exactly. Right. And it's the same as the phenomenon where Americans will tack 20 IQ points onto anybody with an English accent.
Right.
Right? That's basically what this is. It sounds profound.
Right.
I mean, maybe not since the Brexit vote, but like
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah, we've with the exchange rate now, we've taken 10 points back. So.
Now, I don't know what version I'm going to try out first. There's on the, what is it, BibleGateway.com, there's 59 versions in English alone.
God.
On NPR, only days ago, they interviewed a scholar named Robert Alter who had just unveiled his 3-volume translation of the Hebrew Bible.
Yes.
That took him over 24 years to translate.
That he hand wrote.
And he undertook this effort because he claims that the existing English Bibles don't do justice to the original literary beauty of the Hebrew.
Right.
And he said there's massive errors even now.
The beautiful melodic sound of Hebrew.
He said there's even, like, for example, there is no Hebrew equivalent to the word soul. His closest approximation is life breath, which you can see could mean very much a different thing. And I love this. He changed, thou anointest my head with oil to, you moisten my head with oil.
Why?
It mattered.
Because it's good.
I know.
Because it's more of a lotiony sort of
Yeah,
feeling.
right. It's
than
exactly right. That's what he said.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a dry skin issue. It was
kind
nothing
of
sacred about it. It's like, you got a dry skin.
They were all in the desert. What are you going to do?
So, dear listeners, you will in the future be treated to listening to me awkwardly and angrily try out different versions of the Bible like a recently divorced middle-aged straight man going all in on Grindr. I hope you're happy.
Well, this is exciting news. This
is momentous.
a paradigm shift here at the Heretics.
Big stuff.
Big stuff. Look for new and exciting bullshit in the future from different Bibles. It's
Yes,
gonna be amazing.
indeed.
Well, with that courageous stance from Uncle Doug, let's move on.
Here we go. Look, fellas, uncles,
Yeah.
Present.
we're trying to make this show work,
Yeah.
and
Because so far, it has been an abysmal failure.
it's been a nightmare.
Yeah.
But we're gonna grease the wheels a little bit, and the way we're doing that is other people giving us money, and I think that is.
If you want the second 70 episodes to be a little better than the first, throw a penny or two in the kitty.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
worth the investment.
Yeah.
So we got a few people to thank who have done just that. Thanks so much to Kim, to Scott, and Uncle Mark. I think Andrew needs a saint.
Oh, Andrew's earned a saint this week.
Yeah. So you're gonna need to. And not for arbitrary reasons, but because he gave at the sainted level. That's the level that he
At the
chosen.
Holy Sepulchre of Patreon.
That's right.
Yes,
So you have to improvise a saint for him right now.
Andrew, who also is named after a saint, or is saint adjacent with his name.
Yeah.
I think, Andrew, your saint is Saint Piss Missile of Fruit Heights.
Okay.
Yeah, a local saint.
I like Fruit Heights. It's nice.
It's a nice area to drive past.
Sure. Out on the way to Brigham City.
He is the patron saint of Ferris wheel smiths and those about to rock. So congratulations, Andrew.
Yes, we
Well-deserved.
salute you,
Yeah, it's,
as they say. So those are this week's patrons. If you would like to be one of next week's patrons and get us to force me to say your name on our show, as well as maybe force us to do other things, you should do it. You should go to howtoheretic.com.
Yes.
You click on the Patreon button.
Yes.
And a bada bing, a bada boom, you will give you money.
well, racism.
Goodbye, Italian listeners.
Or hello.
Or hello. I'm speaking their language.
We didn't need your lira anyway.
So yeah, please do that if you can't do that, or even if you can. It also is very helpful to the world at large, this fallen world. If you go to any place where you can give us 5 stars, do it. We will write your name in the heavens forever. God bless. Let's move on. Well, Uncle Doug,
Uncle Mark.
every once in a while, I like to talk.
I've noticed.
To you, to Dan, occasionally.
Mostly talking
if I
at
have
us,
to.
but
yeah,
fair enough.
definitely talking at us, at you. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we have the urge to talk to someone else. Uncle Dan wants to talk to us about talking to someone.
Hey, fellas.
Yeah.
Ere you left your room this morning, did you think to pray? Look, here's the
Wait,
thing.
okay, you used 2 words in a sentence that I don't think really belong there.
Think
And pray.
and pray.
Right.
Well, I've been thinking about prayer.
Okay.
And I've been thinking a lot about it, actually. And the reason is because I have seen multiple instances where people who have left religion have said one of the things that I actually miss, and I don't know what to do about it, is prayer. And it got me to thinking.
Huh.
And here's what I've come to. Like I've often equated prayer with a short meditation. I've often thought, maybe there's something to prayer, because if nothing else, it's a moment in a person's life, especially private prayer, where a person stops and sort of asks questions. They think they're asking questions of God, but at very least they're checking in with themselves. And I started it. So this is how to pray, because people who have left religion might miss that.
Right.
And I, after giving it quite a lot of thought, talking to a few people about it, I think it's a good idea. I don't think that you should pray to God.
I think this could be one of our shortest how-to ever because I would simply answer how to pray with don't. But
Don't. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. I want to hear your...
I'm prepared to be moved.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, I would like to ask you your experiences with prayer. What are your thoughts? What do you remember about praying?
I remember, and Mormons in particular are taught that prayer is a direct conduit to God.
Yeah.
There is no intercessor. There's no interlocutor. You're talking directly to God.
Is that different in other
Yes.
species of religion?
Yes. Catholics famously pray mostly to saints.
Or often.
Or often to saints for specific things. Mormons believe that's a one-on-one conversation always between you and God.
Although there is that end part where you say in the name of Jesus Christ, and somehow that gets the stamp of approval that gets it to God.
You said it wrong. It's in the name of Jesus Christ, man.
Right. Yes.
But so as a young man, I took kind of some solace, and I thought that was very, I believed it. Towards the end of my religious experience, it took on a very desperate tenor, because I was beginning to realize that there wasn't anything coming back my way.
Please reveal yourself to me.
Something.
Yeah.
So the taste.
Operators are not standing by.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So when I left, I had a rather bitter taste in my mouth regarding prayer.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was the last. I was pleading. It
stopped working.
Begging. It did, or if it ever did.
I was the same. I had a very similar experience. I spent about 6 months fasting, praying, reading scripture, just begging God to sort of be in my life.
To fix you, because you were broken.
Turns out he ghosted on me.
He only ghosted on you.
But before Uncle Mark gives us his experience, I one of the things I don't miss about religion is the need to kind of plead and beg someone else to do something for me.
Right.
But I can see the point you're making about an act of centering your mind once or twice a day.
I think I'm going to get both of you on board by the end of this thing. But
I don't know if I would worry about calling it prayer, but that's where I'm at right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Uncle Mark.
Yeah, so listeners will know that I was a less than fully voluntary member of a religious group. Consent was never established in my case, but
it's not real big in the religion.
But again,
circles,
right.
because of the quirk of where we were born and when we were born, I basically didn't know anybody who wasn't Mormon, right?
Yeah,
at least not in my youth. So I didn't feel any. So here was my experience with prayer overall. Everybody was doing it. It was all around me. Every Sunday, church felt like it was 1,000 years long, and it was every day of the week there was some church shit to deal with. Mm-hmm. And everybody was doing it, and so I did try. I did earnestly, okay, I'm not. There's an inner ear I've got to open up. There's something about my heart I've got to open up. So I did earnestly try, but after probably age, 10 or 11, the only time I ever prayed was when I had to do it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And so my experience with prayer was the sense of feeling defective. Because, I guess in the same way with you guys, I saw people publicly praying in church and other services where there was crying. There's a thing in Mormonism called fast and testimony meeting. Where
Oh my God!
Think open mic night.
It's open mic night in a very tight, otherwise hyper tightly controlled environment.
Right.
And people pretty much say anything, and it is weepy.
Yeah.
And so I would see people giving their little testimony and weeping, and other people would start crying. And much like prayer, I felt nothing
Right.
at all. And for the longest time, I thought I was defective. I was broken. I didn't realize that I was actually obviously superior. But go on with your prayer ideas. So it was unpleasant for me.
Right.
It was an unpleasant.
Well, let me ask this question too. Are we talking, for the purposes of this conversation, are we talking about personal prayer, or are we talking about, like Mark was saying, prayer in front of other people, or
prayer
group
of the Pharisees?
Well, I think that there's a lot of different kinds of prayer.
Yeah.
And so, some of these kinds of prayer, Mormons love to pride themselves on not having a rote prayer, not having memorized prayers, except for the one. Well, okay, the two. Well, unless you go to the temple and then there's more. But the rest of them, we don't have any rote prayer except that we say the same prayers every day in exactly the same
Turns out
way.
there's only so many ways to bless food.
In contrast to the hated, great, and abominable church, which is what they call the Catholics, who have many, many, many rote prayers, right? Many.
Right. And, the rote prayers haven't. I'm guessing that there's possible benefit to all of these kinds of prayers and possible damage from all of them.
The best possible benefit is winning the big game.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
As George Carlin said, every Friday night in Texas, 2 teams pray to win and 1 loses.
Yeah. So I think that the what interests me now is that there have been moments. So I thought back to just a year or two after I had left the church officially.
Yeah.
I was still pretty new out, and I was still exploring the world as an unsure atheist, as a person who didn't know where I was going. Was I going to join another church? Was I going to, what? I had left Mormonism. I was pretty sure that Mormonism wasn't my thing, and it didn't seem like there was any God. That didn't seem likely to me. But you don't just shed all of those things that you believed for your whole life.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go away.
No, especially if you're from a high stakes religion like we were.
Right. So I had a couple of instances in my life that I wanted to relate to you. One of them was when I was just out fairly recently out of the church. I was with my my then girlfriend, who became my first wife, and we were driving from Denver back to Salt Lake City. And part of that drive, we were in a long stretch of Wyoming that is just wide open spaces.
We've already covered the 3 Nephites.
Right.
You don't have to do this.
Just so much open space. And in the distance, you can see where you're driving to. And in the distance, we're driving toward a very, very powerful thunderstorm. And as I'm driving, we're getting closer and closer, and these lightning strikes are hitting on these planes, and I'd never seen lightning strikes that looked like the giant trunk of a sequoia tree.
Right.
Like, they're just enormous. And I started to get quite scared as I was driving because, tires can only insulate so much.
How old were you, do you think?
20s, early 20s.
Okay.
And I didn't have a lot of experience with that sort of thing.
Didn't have a lot of experience with lightning strikes.
With lightning strikes,
One hopes to get through life without much experience in lightning strikes, but
I've driven in a storm or two since then. So literally, like, my impulse, my brain said, pray when I was there. Like, fuck, pray.
Right.
Because I was getting, the heart's racing and whatever. I was scared. Okay, so that's incident 1. I did not pray, but that was the first. That's one
incident. The first.
Another incident I had around the same time. I don't remember the surrounding accoutrement of what was going on, but I know that I was very stressed out in my life. I was in college, and I think things had just come to a head, and I was depressed, and I was scared, and I was I was feeling just a lot of feelings. Young people do feelings.
Yeah.
And because I had this background of praying, I literally knelt down at my bed and I, clasped my hands together in the same way that I used to pray, and I bowed my head, and I just talked to me. And it calmed me down. So I had this experience of like, holy shit, this actually worked. And ever since then, I've sort of put it out of my mind. I don't really do that anymore. But as I thought about this segment, as I was sort of doing some research on this segment and figuring out what I wanted to say about it, I realized that the prayer that I was kind of taught to do that I normally did as a young person, my personal prayer, alone in my bedroom, could be really useful. The format of it is actually kind of great. And I'll go through that with you now.
Okay.
Kneel down, or get yourself into a private and alone situation, and get yourself into a position.
Don't do this on the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Or while driving.
I mean, you could.
Yeah.
But get yourself into a quiet, private situation. Find a comfortable position to be in. That's not normal. That's not just like,
sitting down.
Whatever your normal thing is in front of the, on the couch in front of the TV. And so that it's separated out from the rest of your life, so that it's quarantined. Start by saying, I'm grateful for things, and listing them specifically. Because when I used to pray, it was, Dear God, Dear Heavenly Father, because we didn't say
Right.
God, we said Heavenly Father. Because patriarchy is important.
Right. And his location vis-a-vis the earth.
Right, yeah, exactly.
For some reason.
Well, and distinction from earthly father. So that, very important that I don't mix him up. Dear Dad. Wrong dad.
And dear as if you're starting a formal letter.
Right, yes, exactly. It is funny that the template seems to be a written missive.
Put the date at the top.
Not to go off on a tangent, but I, as a young man, literally considered it to be like tuning a radio in. When we would say, you would kneel down, like you said, you would interlock your fingers, and you would say, Dear Heavenly Father. In my mind's eye, I actually could visualize like a beam of
the channel opening up.
Channel opening between me and Kolob. For real. I thought,
wow.
But I mean,
like fucking Tron. I love it.
Totally, exactly like Tron. So I apologize. I derailed your...
We have an e-meter in this room.
Yes, we do.
Actually
That's true.
try to hook you up to it. But
We're there.
Yeah.
So I love that, though. I mean, so open the channel. So what I'm going to suggest...
Are you going to say open a channel to yourself?
You ruined the whole segment. Now the segment's ruined.
No.
You made it sound stupid, and now I don't want to talk about it anymore.
come on.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
on.
Here's the thing. I don't know who you're praying to if we're gonna start this practice. Yes, probably to self. I don't know, but I do love the idea of starting out by saying, "I'm so grateful for things in my life," and not just like some general like my life is great, or there are good things, but fucking listing them. And we know from psychology that listing things that you're grateful for actually has a positive psychological effect on your brain. So you start by that. Then
And then the enemies list.
Cersei, the mountain. Then you go to, at least when I used to pray, so thank you for all these things. Please bless that blah, 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 blah. So then it's my needs.
Then it's the ask. Yeah.
Then it's like, I fucking need some help with this, or Lord, I'm really feeling scared about blank. You go to like, you ask yourself what is causing you distress in your life, and you you literally list it out. Again, you don't just let it be this general thing. Oh, the holidays are hard. You ask yourself, what is hard about the holidays?
Yeah.
I'm worried about my mom because she's going to be so stressed out, or I'm worried about this, or I don't want to deal with X. And you just list the things, and what you're doing with God is you're asking for
intercession,
divine help from that.
Yeah.
But what I'm proposing is that you would be doing something similar, just asking for but just listing it out may be enough to sort of codify your thinking on the thing. Because I don't think we stop and ask ourselves about what's going on inside.
See, I think that's interesting. The listing the things you're thankful for, or kind of ranking the things you need or want or are afraid of in your life is interesting. I think all of us go through a form of this when we say prepare for something stressful. Mm-hmm. So a meeting or, an interview, when we review in our minds the questions and the answers and the materials, it's a form of this.
Sure.
You're talking, and I hear, you're talking about more of like a psychologically laying out the landscape of what is good and bad in your life. I think that's great.
Yeah. I mean, people who are believers, if they're nervous about the meeting that they're going to, on top of being prepared for it,
right,
they pray about it. Well, what are they doing? Like, I believe that there is actual psychological benefit to what they're doing. Not from God, but by just saying to themselves, by making themselves aware, I'm actually scared about this. This worries me. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to just acknowledge that feeling.
Right. It's essentially a mindfulness practice.
It is.
Right? It's two things. It's checking in with yourself, and it is a little kind of phone booth sort of meditation.
Yeah.
Right? Just shut the world out for a second. What's making me feel crazy right now? What's upsetting me right now? What could I benefit from right now?
Yeah. And speaking it specifically, because
to Lucifer.
Because sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Say it to God. I don't really care. Like, invent a fake figure that you have to tell all this stuff to in order to get it sorted out.
Why prayer is problematic is people use it. People honestly think that somebody's going to pick up the other end of the phone.
Sure.
And that there's going to be a result, an exterior result to that.
A magic occurrence.
Yeah. And that's why religious prayer is a dangerous practice.
It can be.
Because you abandon, you give up a lot of agency and autonomy and, hope. And look, people are desperate and they pray. We talked about this with Benny Hinn and faith healing. They're being desperate in life pushes you closer to that event horizon that you want to pray and you hope God does something for you.
Right.
And that's never going to happen.
But I also feel like there's the problem I'm having with this is the language, the actual term prayer, because it's so loaded. There's so much in there. Like, for example, if you were to say to me, I'm having something going badly in my life, and you say to me, I'll pray for you.
Right.
Go fuck yourself.
Right.
Yeah. But if you say to me, I'll be thinking about you, that has a meaning to me. You'll be thinking about me.
I got news for you. Thoughts and prayers are all just thoughts.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But one is kind of inactive. One is, I hope someone else does something for you.
I'm going to talk to a fake person.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll work it out for you.
One is like, I'm going to be thinking about you and your problem and maybe some way I can help you.
Yeah.
And so prayer has such a connotation that I worry that
when someone says, I'm going to pray for you, they might as well just say, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because nothing's going to come of it except one little thing, one little caveat is if they're being very sincere, they're being nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll pray for you, even though it doesn't do anything that they're thinking about.
The other half of that sentence could change your mind on that. I'll pray for you because you're gay.
Right.
Maybe
sure, of course.
Sure. But you know what? The other thing is that a sincere believer who says, oh my God, your house burned down, I'm going to pray for you, will actually do the action of thinking about you. If they actually go off and pray.
Yeah.
And maybe that just bringing that into their mind the way I'm suggesting we do it without the God element.
Right.
Is enough that they'll go, you know what, I could help them with something.
But isn't it necessary to carve God out of the equation?
Yes.
To say, because if I kneel down and say, God, please bless Dan in his time of need, as opposed to kneeling down and going,
I see what you're saying.
God, how can I help Dan in his time of need? You know what I mean?
I don't know that it is necessary to pull God out of it, because I do think that just putting your mind on a thing, because it is bringing it also into their own consciousness.
I think it's close, but not all the way. I hear you.
But what I'm saying is what we would do, what I'm proposing, is better, because it does take God out of the equation.
Right.
The only person there is you. The only person in the room is you. But you are asking yourself questions. If I were to, and yes, fine, ditch the word prayer. It doesn't have to be that. Call it a meditative practice. Call it whatever you want to.
Call it how you doing.
How you doing? And maybe that's how you start your prayer, because you probably don't want to start it with "Dear Heavenly Father" because you don't believe in that guy anymore. So sitting down and being like, "How you doing?" and then moving on might be just as good a way as any to start. But I do think that the practice of bringing into your mind the things that you're concerned about, the people that you're concerned about. If you have a friend in distress, kneeling down, and just asking yourself about this person and just saying, "I'm really worried about this person," can either put you into a very sensitive place for them. Can maybe you'll think of something that you can do for them. Like, these are things that I in my life, and I won't generalize to you guys because I don't know your lives, but because you're weirdos.
It's pretty much just cocaine and prostitutes.
Very secretive. Very secretive.
But for me, I tend not to take a moment to focus myself on what is important to me right now. What is, what am I scared of? What are my feelings? What do I want? What pain am I feeling and could use some healing?
Yeah.
And I can't see how there could be anything but benefit from taking 5 minutes before you go to bed.
I think culturally, just speaking as an American, I think culturally we're very bad at that. I think we're a nation that prays a lot, but that's a useless exercise. Like you say, yes, sometimes it helps you focus on a person or feel compassion for a person or empathy, but it's also a true believer praying for you lets them off the fucking hook for doing anything practical.
Sure.
They feel they've done a positive thing. But I take your point that I think most of us are very bad at just having a quiet moment.
Well, I mean, is there value in starting my day with taking just a few moments to think about myself and others in a holistic way rather than reading the president's Twitter feed? Yeah. I cannot disagree with that.
There's benefit to you hitting yourself in the knee with a hammer versus reading the president's Twitter feed. So
all I'm saying is that, like, I remember feeling comfort from the act of praying. I know people who are still believers who feel deep sense of comfort, of healing, of all of these things, and I don't think Jesus is helping them.
No.
I think what's happening is they're getting genuine benefit from an act that we could modify for our purposes that could have genuine benefit. So part of what I wanted to say was, if you've just left your religion and you miss prayer, fucking pray.
Yeah.
I give that permission to you as your atheist uncle.
Well,
get in there. I love this idea.
Well, you might as well, because you've always only been talking to yourself anyway.
Right.
So
take it back. Take it like so much. There's so much ground is automatically ceded to the faithful. And to religion. And we've talked on this show other times about kind of taking shit back, taking Sundays back, taking this back. Taking, if you like Christmas, fuck it, do Christmas. Take it back and make it yours. And I don't see why this is any different.
Right.
If you find it effective and calming and it gives you, a benefit mentally or physically, why the fuck not? Why shouldn't you do it?
And I think I'm going to actually try to start this because I see an actual benefit to this. So I am going to try and get myself going on. Now, I haven't even been able to start flossing. I can't make myself do that. So
it's probably too late now.
It may be that I'm not going to be able to make this habit really form.
Oh, but was that a chiclet that just fell out of your mouth? Nope, that was an incisor.
I don't need them all.
No, and I don't mean to make light when I say opening a channel to yourself, because I that is how I would actually envision it. Is like, because I knelt down and I thought I was reaching out across time and space, having a conversation. What I was really doing was talking to myself.
Yeah.
And to the degree that had a benefit, that's great. If doing it now in the full knowledge that there's nobody on the other end is more centering and more useful, then great. I think that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I think probably a lot of our listeners are not going to do this, but I actually see some real benefit for all of the things that people do personal prayer for. I think it can work. You just don't get the benefit. There's nothing magic.
No.
But, feeling your feelings, naming your feelings, being in touch with what's really going on inside of you, these are acts that lead to comfort. These are acts that lead to success,
to resolution. Yeah.
So like, there's no downside here, I don't think.
Every book on management and talks about that kind of a thing, like that you need to have that self-awareness.
Yeah.
That in order to be successful,
consider, if you will, Sun Tzu,
right?
The Art of War. I think I'm sure a lot of our listeners practice meditation or have some kind of, they've learned something through therapy or some sort of kind of self-check-in,
right?
Some kind of rundown. So people probably are doing a lot of stuff like this. I think the argument you're making is, why let the religious people own a thing that they really have no patent on?
Well, and I'm saying the comfort that I felt when I was praying, that could be real. And the things that people miss from prayer doesn't have to be about their God. They may have gotten real, tangible, actual benefit from the act that they were doing. And I'm saying there may be some baby that you don't want to throw away with that bathwater.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. We'll check in with you in a few weeks and see.
And if you guys don't choose to do it, I'll pray for you.
I'll pray for that you will start flossing.
Thank you. Please do.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's it. That's all I wanted.
That's the whole thing.
About. That's what. Oh, you wanted more?
No. I'm praying for this to end. So
all right.
In the name of Jesus Christ, let's move on.
Amen.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, howto@howtoheretic.com.
Yeah, and you can call us and let us know how far along you are in opening the tumblers on your 4 quadrillion tumbler suitcase of secrets at 903-88-HOW2, which is 903-884-6986. I'm also on Twitter, @HowToHeretic. Occasionally Facebook happens.
Yeah, something
but there's
like
no
that.
proof of that.
Nope. It was thrown into a volcano and blown up with a bomb. Anyway, thanks so much again once more to our patrons.
And thanks to Cody Layton for editing the show.
And thank you, dear friends, for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.
Ta-ta!